Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Manatee County, County Commissioner, District 1 Candidate Forum. I'm Alice Newland, the President of the League of Women Voters of Manatee County. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan public policy organization and it encourages informed and active participation in government. The League has both women and men as members. The League does not support or oppose any candidate or party. First, before we start the program, I'd like to encourage all of you to use the League of Women Voters Voters Guides. There's a national vote411.org where you can put in your address and get your ballot exactly with the responses of the candidates to questions asked by the League. And there's our website, lwvmanatee.org, under Voters Kit, Election Information, where we have PDF Voters Guides. And we also have a link to the video page that's got many, many video candidate forms. So we don't limit it to League of Women Voters ones. We have Tiger Bay, our only two rules are that it has to be a nonpartisan organization running the forum, and it also has to have all the candidates present. We also have paper guides that are in libraries, government buildings, and many of communities and senior community centers. We are pleased to have the candidates for the Manatee County Commission District 1 with us today, Dominque Brown and James Satcher. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to answer questions. Carolyn Sheets, our VP and Voter Services Chair, will hold up this sign when their time is up. Finish your sentence and we will move on to the next candidate or question. We ask that all candidates speak only for themselves and not provide insight into the opponent's positions. There will be no rebuttals. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted on the League of Women Voters of Manatee website. Reference to it can be made, it can be shown in its entirety, but it is the property of the League of Women Voters and cannot be used separately without written permission from the League of Women Voters of Manatee County. Okay, let's get started. Candidate Brown, tell us about your background and why you are running for County Commissioner.
I was raised here in Manatee County, homegrown, and I moved back here to raise my family here in Manatee County. As far as my educational background and my life experience, I think it's prepared me well for this position. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, a master's degree in criminal justice, and I earned my Juris Doctor degree, which is my law degree. And I've served in public service for most of my adult life. I joined the Air Force at the age of 17. I served for 12 years. I'm honorably discharged, and I also served a combat tour in Afghanistan. So I would say that I'm combat tested and ready to fight for the people of Manatee County. More about my public service background is that I'm a former prosecutor and I am a former public defender. Now I own my own law firm where I practice law, but I also own another small business here in Manatee County. So I'm familiar with budgeting for business because the county, they require that when you become a county commissioner. So I know how to make sure that things are in line where they need to be and that we're not overspending and that we have money reserved. So that is essentially my background. A little bit more about me, sorry to keep going, but a little bit more about me is that okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Satcher.
My name's James Satcher. I'm a husband and a father to 5 children, and actually another one on the way, and a devoted follower of Christ. It's my faith in God that has guided me to commit most of my life to service to people. I spent over a decade providing humanitarian work for populations in great need. In 2010, I began working with churches and government officials in Haiti after the earthquake that left the country there in shambles. With my leadership, we built 4 churches, provided thousands of pounds of food, feeding thousands of people, and brought clean water to orphans. I established a location in Haiti that acted as a humanitarian center for for a Harvard humanitarian initiative to work from. I been blessed to travel to Thailand, South Africa, Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, and Haiti, all preaching and as a missionary, providing relief to needy communities. In the US, I've worked in disaster relief operations, managing distributions after 2 major hurricanes, assisted in the cleanup efforts in Palmetto following Hurricane Irma with Widow Bryans. In recent years, as unrest and division has spread here in the US, I've become more focused on making a difference here in America. My organization now rescues and helps restore women who are victims of sex trafficking and exploitation right here in Manatee County. In addition to work in the ministry, I work as a
Thank you,
consultant.
candidate Satcher.
Oh, that was a quick warning.
Yeah. Well, the next question is you, and I
Right.
bet you'll be able to use it because it is, what is your community involvement now, and how will you get and keep connected with the community and learn their wants and needs?
Okay. Yeah, that makes it easy too. So as we were saying, we work directly with the community right now, helping women who are being sex trafficking or exploited. So that's a major part of it. We're also involved with a lot of the food ministries. The business side of things, you have to keep basically, if you're out in the community, you're going to hear from people what's going on. And right now I hear that they're concerned about unrest. They're concerned about traffic. They want a commissioner that's going to back the blue, that's going to fund our sheriff's department. So we need better infrastructure, lower taxes, and to take care, like I already said, of the sheriff. So that's part of what we're doing, and that's how we're staying connected. It's just basically being out with the people. I'm out every weekend. If I'm not at work, I'm out talking with people.
Thank you, candidate Satcher. Candidate Brown, what is your community involvement now, and how would you get and keep connected with your constituents were you elected?
So my community involvement didn't start with this campaign. My law firm and my other small business, Dream Succeed Become, does a lot of community outreach. For example, every year we do a Thanksgiving dinner giveaway, and we also do a Christmas gift card giveaway to single parents in Manatee County. I'm also a part of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, where we do a lot of community events. We do cleanups, we do meals to our healthcare heroes just recently. We've done that amongst a host of other events throughout the year. And staying involved in the community, I'm from here. So I have connections to people throughout Manatee County. Throughout my campaign, I have been everywhere. I went to the rib cook-off in Palmetto Point this past weekend. I did a mullet toss in Parrish a couple of weeks ago. I've also hosted all of my meet and greets throughout the county at public parks so that people can come out and tell me what their concerns are. And I've talked to people and they've told me that they don't believe that Manatee County has a safety issue, but with the divisiveness that's going on right now in this political realm, there is a lot of talk about things that could potentially happen that we don't see here in Manatee County. And so I just make sure that I have my ear to the street. I'm on a lot of different forums, and I make sure that I pay attention and make sure that people have access to me.
Thank you. Candidate Brown, if elected, what would be the first item on your agenda and why?
So my priority would be traffic concerns and the infrastructure. Why it's my priority is because traffic is the number one thing that people are telling me that they have an issue with. I drive every day from District 1 through District 2 to District 3 in order to get to my office. So I'm very familiar with the traffic issues that we have throughout the county and not just in District 1. And then as far as the infrastructure, I've heard from a lot of people that we need parks, we need sidewalks, we need better sewage systems in place for the developments that are coming in, especially in District 1, because we don't have that infrastructure so far that reaches all the way out there. So I listen to the people and they're telling me what their priorities are, and I want to make sure that I'm forcing other people to listen to what their priority is rather than just ignore them. I want to be the voice for our community and make sure that they're being heard and their needs are being met also.
Thank you. And candidate Satcher, the same question. Um, if elected, what would be the first item on your agenda and why?
I think number one priority, obviously with the pandemic, we have to concentrate on the economy. We have to help businesses get back to work and get the county back moving. So that's number one. I'll also just say that next is going to be taking care of the sheriff, funding and backing the blue. I live in a middle class home, a nice home, and blessed to do that. And I've had my car broken into while my family slept at night. So in Parish, when you're a long way away from the services that we need, I do believe, and I take it seriously, keeping people safe. And then obviously fighting hard for wider roads, for better roads, to get people where they need to go. Every minute in traffic is something where we're not being productive. We're not able to spend time with our family. We're not able to spend time at work. And so it's wasted. In addition to, if anything, with the environment. So I think it's important that we make that a priority, getting people out of traffic.
I'm going to skip one question ahead because this is almost a follow-on.
Never here to see.
With the developments such as the ones on Golf Course Road, would you have the developers pay for widening the road or the taxpayers? And would you do plans to widen at the same time the construction is being done on the development?
So I am definitely in favor of moving up our schedule. It doesn't make sense to build a community for 4 or 5 years, then collect an impact fee, and then do a 3-year project on the road that's getting the people there that already live there. So I'm in favor of moving that up. I think we're going to have to be creative to do it because there are legal issues that go with when the impact fees get paid, et cetera. But we're a big enough economy. The Manatee County has enough funds to where we should be able to work it out to where people, for me, it really comes down to safety. So we shouldn't be on unsafe roads driving places. Everyone sees the neighborhood coming, and so I'm going to push hard to get those upgrades. I like with my children when they're racing, I like it when they tie. And so I want the roads in the neighborhood to tie. I don't want roads that do no good with nobody living on them, but I do want those roads there when people need them.
And candidate Brown, the same question. The developments that go in, particularly this submitted question was about developments on Golf Course Road, and should the developers pay or the taxpayers, and should the construction of the widening of the road be concurrent with the construction of the development?
So as a homeowner here in Manatee County, I hate to see my taxes go up every year. When I look at my tax bill at the end of the year, when it comes out, I compare it to last year's bill to see what was added. No one likes new taxes. However, when it comes to developing the roads, by statute, we cannot force the developers to pay for the roads. So that wouldn't be an option. It would have to come from impact fees, because that's what the statute says. So that's beyond a decision that the county commissioners could make at this level. That is something that the state legislature would have to change to make sure that the voices of the community here is being heard when we're talking about development. So there is case law that says that we can't force the developers to pay for the widening of the roads. So it would have to come from the impact fees. And then how it's done, there's laws about that as well. So the roads are done after the developments are put into place. I think that is backwards, but that is something that the people will have to fight for to see a change in. And that's not a decision that the county commissioners can make at this level. I would like to see the roads be widened a lot sooner after the developments are put into place.
Okay, thank you. Carolyn, do we have any questions in chat? We're going to bounce back and forth a little bit here to take some that come in chat. You're on mute.
No questions in chat right now.
Okay.
We will need, I see something about, okay. Florence just submitted something. Let me open it up and we can do that. All right, this says to everyone, based on your website, you
I
know.
don't think that's a good question.
No, okay.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too personal.
Right.
Okay. Okay, then let's go on.
Well, maybe you can reconstruct it. I'm just cruising.
Go on and I'll look it over, okay?
Yeah, because it relates to tying it to the national administration. We don't want.
Okay.
Don't want to do.
You're reading faster than me, so good.
Yeah. All right, candidate Brown. Many of the candidates emphasize low taxes and small government. How do you balance this with quality of life, such as libraries, open spaces, citizen support services? What role does the county commission play in maintaining and improving the Manatee quality of life?
Okay, so as a business owner, I know that sometimes you have to spend money to make money. So when we hear people say, well, we want to keep the taxes low, we want to have a small government, you have to ask, do those people actually pay taxes? And do they understand what the tax money is being used for? And is it affecting them by paying the taxes? I know for me and my family, we pay our taxes every year when we get our ad valorem. A lot of the ad valorem taxes here in Manatee County go towards that support of the local libraries and the parks and the other amenities that we experience and enjoy here in Manatee County. With the new developments that are coming in, there'll be a lot more people who are paying into those ad valorem taxes, which will give us more money to spend on things such as parks and libraries. We have one of the lowest taxes out of all of the counties in Manatee County, and we don't tax as much as we can. And I don't think that we should increase taxes unnecessarily. But again, sometimes we do have to spend money to make money. And if it's going to make our quality of life better here in Manatee County, I think the constituents and the voters should have a choice to vote on whether or not they want that new tax, rather than the county commissioners just implementing something or increasing something without hearing from the people, because our voices here in Manatee County matter. And we should all have a say-so in what our tax money is being used for.
Thank you, Candidate Brown. Candidate Satcher, do you want me to repeat the question or are you good?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Many of the candidates emphasize low taxes and small government. How would you balance this with the quality of life, such as libraries, open spaces, citizen support services, and what role do you see the county commission playing in maintaining and improving the quality of life?
So I appreciate the question, but I do not believe that those are mutually exclusive. I think we can have a smaller government and less taxes and still have quality of life that increases and have the services that people need. First of all, right now, we're in a unique position, an advantageous position where we do have reserves right now that are higher than what's required by the state, almost double from what I understand. So that's going to offer us with some options that we wouldn't otherwise have. Looking ahead, if we were to, endure an economic slowdown, it'll be good that we have those reserves. But I believe that people know best how to spend their money. Obviously, And I understand that government, it does take taxes to run the government, but in general, the more money you can let stay in the citizens' hands, the better off those citizens are going to be. And so that's what I want to see happen for Manatee County. I don't want endless tax increases. And so that's my position.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Satcher, what are your views on charter schools? Do we have too many of them or too few? Do they need more or less oversight?
So this is county commissioner. It's not the school board, but it is important that we know where people come from. So I really do appreciate that question. I believe in school choice. I believe that people should not be, because they're where their geography is, because of where they leave their house from, that should not determine what school they can go to. And I also believe in the power of competition. So I think that public schools and charter schools and private schools all get better when there's competition between the three. So I am in favor of charter schools. My children have gone to charter schools in the past, and it's been overall a good experience for them. So I'm in favor of it.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Brown, what are your views on charter schools? Do we have too many or too few? Do they need more or less oversight?
I'm going with your plan right now.
I'm in favor of charter schools. I'm actually a product. I think your mic is still on, James.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm a product of our local charter schools here. I attended Team Success when it was still PAL, and I had a great experience there. I was able to get ahead with a lot of my peers and receive an excellent education. So I don't think we have too many charter schools, but again, that's the local county commissioners don't govern the charter school system or provide oversight for them. So that would be something that another entity would decide, but I am in favor of having charter schools and being able to have that option to choose where you want your child to be educated.
Thank you, Candidate Brown. Candidate Brown, how do you feel about charter government, sometimes called home rule?
That question was on the bar exam. So I'm in favor of the home rule law where, our local government has the final say. So we know better here in our community what we need and what we're facing. For example, with the COVID-19 pandemic, some parts of the state were hit a lot harder than our area, but we've been suffering a lot more than other parts of the state. And so I think that our local government here has exercised their home rule authority and have implemented things that need to be in place for the safety of our community. So I'm in support of home rule, and I don't think it's going away because it has long-standing here within the state of Florida.
Candidate Satcher, how do you feel about charter government, sometimes called home rule?
I'm in favor of charter government. I like the idea of being able to add things like term limits. So I think it would be good for us to, as a community, come together and make that declaration. It'd take a lot of work. I've talked some to George Cruz about that. And so I think it is going to be something that we need to look at. We need to look at seriously. I think overall we'd be better off. Generally, when you keep government close to the people, it's a good thing.
Thank you. Candidate Satcher, do you support the referendum on the ballot for a permanent fund to purchase open land and for water protection and recreation that would cost the average homeowner $29 a year?
So as with most taxes, when it's a brand new tax, it's going to start out real small. And I don't trust it to stay that way. So $29, absolutely, that seems very reasonable. But I don't see much guaranteeing reasonableness as we go forward. I see that as something that they can increase year over year. And so for that reason, I'm not in favor of this tax personally. It's on the ballot, so it's kind of by the time if I were to become a commissioner, there will be no vote. The commissioners don't get to vote on it. The people get to vote on it. So we'll see what they do. I haven't made it a major issue of my campaign. I genuinely worry about cronyism with something like that. So you've got millions of dollars in the hands of a few people that are making the decision on what land's important, what land's going to get bought, what is environmentally valuable. And so it opens up to some negative things. But if we end up with it passing, I'll do my best to, should I be able to be a commissioner, to make sure we do a good job administering that properly.
Candidate Brown.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Do you support the referendum on the ballot for a permanent fund to purchase it would actually allow the county to purchase bonds based on the revenue, to purchase open land for water protection and recreation, that the average cost to a homeowner per year is $29?
Yes, I do. I've heard from a lot of people within our district and within the county that they're concerned with our environment and the development that's going on within our district and the effects that it has on the environment. A lot of people that I spoke to are in support of protecting our environment, and they're willing to pay $29 a year if that's going to make sure that our environment is safe for the future of Manatee County. So I'm focused on the future of Manatee County, and if the people are saying that this is what we need in order to make sure that our kids and our grandkids can have a bright future here and our community can stay as beautiful as it is with our local animals and plants, in an effort to protect our environment, I do support that referendum.
Thank you. Okay, candidate Brown.
Alice,
Yeah.
some chat questions?
Oh, good. Good. Go for it, candidate Brown.
Okay. All right, this is from Cheryl. You're both very active and making a difference in your lives. Thank you. Why is becoming commissioner so much more important than what you're already doing? This is Brown.
Yes. We need someone different. We need a change on our board. If you look at our board of county commissioners, it doesn't adequately reflect the diversity we have here within the community. If you want the same old, and you want to continue doing what we've always been doing and having the same people make the decisions for the rest of us, then don't vote for me. But what I bring to the table is experience in life, experience with serving America and our community. So I do have a full-time job as an attorney, and I do have a full-time job as a small business owner for another business that I own. But it's important to me to be elected to the Board of County Commissioners because I care about the future of Manatee County. I'm from here. I have seen it grown since I was a little girl until now. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but everybody needs a voice. Everybody should be heard. Everybody should be taken into consideration when they're saying this is what we need and this is what we don't need. So it is important for me to be elected to the Board of County Commissioners so that I can be an advocate for those people who feel like their voices aren't being heard and that Manatee County is not going in the direction that they envision for their future.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Satcher, same question.
First of all, let me just say, I think it's a legitimate question. So obviously as a preacher, I believe in prayer. And I remember in a time of prayer, I came to the Lord and I said, Lord, I am a gospel preacher. And I felt in my heart, not, I'm not saying out loud voices, but I felt in my heart, like he said, yeah, but I need preachers that are willing to be involved in government. So I can't say that I look at what the commission does and want to get involved just for the sake of being involved. But it's because I've got a family here. I'm raising 5 children and in Manatee County, in parish. And so it is important that we let our voice be heard. And look, at every step of the way, there's going to be people, how do I say it, why it shouldn't just be the elites that are able to make decisions or, able to participate. And so, sure, I might have a little bit of a different route towards office than most people do, but I think that'll be okay. I think it'll be good for Manatee County. It'll be good for the people. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'm not planning on stopping any of our ministry work. We're still going to make a difference in the community. We're still going to help people every step of the way. So that's the plan.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question. This would be candidate Satcher to start. How will you address the 12,000 plus cases of COVID-19 in Manatee County and over 300 deaths?
So, first of all, this pandemic is just absolutely, it's so sad to see people that are going home early. And so we all are in a situation that none of us saw 5-10 years ago, even last year. We never looked and saw this ahead. But I remember in April being at a county commission meeting, and they were talking about the plans and what they had done. And at that time, what they were doing with patients who had been diagnosed as positive. And at that point, a lot of them were staying in the skilled nursing facilities. And so at that meeting, I spoke out and I said, I think that we need to give the best care available to anyone that has this disease. What's the point of these hospital beds if we're not willing to put the people in them? And I believe maybe I even had an influence on that, because quickly after that, that policy changed. And this was before we knew what we know now. And so that would be my thing, is just to make available the best care that we have. We shutting everything down is not an option. People have to eat every day. The economy has to keep going. But what we can do is do our best to protect the most vulnerable and those who do contract this disease. So that's what I would do.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Brown?
Yes. So I would encourage, as I do, social distancing, wearing masks, and hand washing. We've heard from different experts, medical experts, that have told us that, we can reduce the numbers of infection if we make sure that we're keeping our distance and that we're wearing face masks and that we're washing our hands or sanitizing our hands. I would also ensure that our county employees are protected. And we also have to look out for those who are most vulnerable to being infected by COVID-19. So I understand that a lot of people felt that they shouldn't have to be mandated to wear a face mask. But I tell people, you know what, the mask that I'm wearing, and I wear it faithfully, protects you from me, because I don't know if I'm a carrier of COVID-19 and I'm asymptomatic. But in order to make sure that I'm not being selfish by putting you in a position where I could infect you, then I will wear my face mask. And I would just keep encouraging that.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go on with one more and then I'll give it back to Alice, okay? Alice? All right, candidate Brown again. A whole different point of view here. Do you feel that the relationship, this would be with the sheriff and the citizens in the county, is a good relationship? What could be done to improve it?
I've spoke to several people who are currently employees of local law enforcement. And I've also spoken to several citizens who have had encounters with law enforcement. And I would say the relationship at this point is a little tense on both sides, right? So people are calling for a citizen review board. And I understand that there have been some talks about having a citizens review board, having more community policing, and just making sure that the community relationship with the local law enforcement is better than what it is right now. So as an educated person with a bachelor's and a master's degree in criminal justice, I can tell you that there are several ways that policing can be done. There are several methods that the local law enforcement can take in order to make sure that community policing and community relations is better. And that would be a conversation that needs to be had. But again, everybody's voice would need to be heard. So if there is an opportunity to have a forum where the citizens can express their point of view and local law enforcement can express their point of view, and maybe we meet somewhere in the middle and we can have a better relationship on both sides, then that's what we need to do.
Okay, thank you. Good timing. Candidate Satcher, same question.
Uh,
Repeat it.
sure, go ahead.
Okay. Do you feel the relationship with the sheriff and the citizens in the county is a good relationship? What could be done to improve it?
So the sheriff right now is the most popular elected official in the county. He has done an incredible job. He fought the opiate addiction. For a man with the gifts that he has and the calling that he has, he came real close to begging for more people, for more deputies that he can put in the community. I've been at those meetings. Part of my campaign and part of my platform is to be able to give him the people he needs to be able to be more involved in the community. This is an interesting time in America's history. Just yesterday, we were toppling statues in Portland, and that's been going on for months now. So it's very interesting to me that we would be having any other plan than to back our police and to back our sheriff. So that's what I'd like to see happen. I'd like for him to get more resources that he's asked for as the community grows and as the population grows, which is happening in Florida, all over the state. People are coming here. They're fleeing high tax liberal cities and they're coming here. And as they do, we need to be able to provide them the protection and give the sheriff what he needs and what he's been asking for.
Thank you. Back to you, Alice.
Okay, I'm going to actually steal one from chat.
Okay, there's some good ones today.
James, this is a follow-on. Do you believe that law enforcement should wear body cameras? Why or why not?
I'm absolutely fine with body cameras. I don't see any issue with that. Obviously, it takes some time to get them bought, purchased, and implemented, but I'm all for that.
Okay, and Candidate Brown.
Yes, I am in favor of body cameras. I'm also in favor of officers wearing the body cameras properly and having them work when they're supposed to work.
Okay, thank you. Okay, another topic, Candidate Brown. Do you think we are suffering from building sprawl? And what is your relationship, if any, to developers in the area?
I think that the development is going to continue happening regardless if we want it to stop or not. As long as people are selling their land and developers have the money to pay for that land and the projects are being approved, the development will continue. So as the next county commissioner for District 1, I understand that I will have to work with developers. There is no fight from me against them developing properties as long as it's done the right way. And as far as my relationship to the developers, I have none. They haven't reached out to me. They haven't donated to my campaign. I haven't received any money, any backing from any special PACs that they control, or any of that. So as the next candidate or the next commissioner for District 1, I can say that I'm not being influenced and my campaign is not being influenced by any of the developers in the area.
Thank you. Candidate Satcher. Do you think we are suffering from building sprawl? And what is your relationship, if anything, to developers in our area?
As far as sprawl, obviously we see some neighborhoods, you drive for a long time and then there's a neighborhood. And so that's something that I think we need, especially in District 1. We're going to have to look at seriously. We need a plan that's going to be able to put the residential and the commercial spaces together keep people off the roads as much as possible. So obviously it's a concern in Florida. And so I'm not going to have no motivation to pretend that it's not. People do own their own land. There are laws about what they're able to do. And if they want to sell to build homes, that's within their rights. So we just as a community have to do the best with that situation. A lot of us may live in one of those homes. So as far as developers spent a lot of money to defeat me during the primary. I won't call names or numbers, but they spent a lot of money to try to beat me in the primary. I was really blessed and able to win that primary victory. Since then, a lot of them have called me on the phone, and just like was said, it is important if we're going to be building, and obviously that's happening by law. Then I take that phone call, and then we're trying to figure out a way forward, the best way forward. I've always been attached to the community, always been attached to the people. That's always been first. And so anything else would come second.
Okay, thank you, candidate Satcher. Okay, candidate Satcher, what do you feel the area should be doing planning for climate change?
So climate change, the world, Earth is a big place. And so you've got the entire world. The climate seems to be, scientists are saying it's changing. How much of that is part of the normal course of the Earth that was happening before? We had the greenhouse gases that get blamed now. I don't know. But then how much of that is the United States' fault? Okay, it'd be a smaller percentage than even what's humans' fault. And then how much of that is Florida's fault? That'd be smaller. And then how much of Florida's contribution is from Manatee County? That would be even smaller. So I can tell you what I won't do. I won't put a multi-million dollar tax upon the people to try to solve the entire world's problems. So I'm not in favor of that. I am in favor of keeping our waterways clean. I am in favor of keeping runoff from making it where we can't fish to making it where we can enjoy our water and our beaches. Obviously, red tide and the blue-green algae is something that has to be addressed. I was at the water treatment plant, or just Piney Point, they call it, just a couple of weeks ago, trying to see what we could do to clean more water, to take care of more people as we grow. So I care about conserving the environment, but I'm not going to do it on the backs of the people.
Candidate Brown, what do you feel the county should be doing to plan for climate change?
So I believe in science and the scientists and what they tell us that we need to do. We should be looking at ways to alleviate traffic so that we don't have as much emissions from our vehicles that we have. If that means providing alternative modes of transportation for our people to get around, then that's something that we need to look into. I know that the MPO has been doing studies on traffic, and we've done surveys as far as to figure out ways that we can get around a lot better without having all of the emissions, whether that's a light rail come into town or if there's a ferry put into place so that some of the traffic over the bridges can be alleviated. But we also need to request more help from the state. So the state does provide funding for our climate change initiatives, and we need to figure out a way that we can come up with a plan to tell them, hey, we need some more help with our issues that we have here. We've had sewage spills here in the Gulf that affects our climate, it affects our environment. So we need to talk more to the state to figure out how they can help us, but on the local level, we need to listen to the boards that are in place that advise the county commissioners on things that need to be changed and done.
Thank you, Candidate Brown. Candidate Brown again. This one's going to be reaching back in your memory. What decision in the last year did the county commission make that you most disagree with, and why? And what decision in the last year did the commissioners make that you feel was the correct decision?
So within the last year in COVID, being like the top topic of the year for 2020. I think that I would disagree with shutting down businesses that weren't considered essential. As a local small business owner, I did shut my doors for a couple of months. And I had to do everything on Zoom. I had to talk to my clients online. I'm still attending court. I had court today on Zoom because the courthouse is not letting people come in unless they need to come in. So that is the one decision that I would disagree with. But the one decision I would agree with is the mask mandate. Maybe it should not have been mandated and everyone forced to wear a mask, but it should have been highly encouraged. So I would say that I agree with that decision, but I'm not necessarily 100% in agreement with how it was done. As I previously stated, I encourage social distancing, wearing a mask, and hand washing. So while I would have encouraged that and made that point known from the dais, like, hey, we need to wear a mask, not telling you you have to, but it's something that can slow the spread down. And some people listen, some people don't, even to this day. So the decision would have still been up to the people.
Thank you, Candidate Brown. Candidate Satcher, what decision in the last year did the county commission make that you most disagree with and why? And what decision did they make in the last year that you agree with?
The one that comes to mind is actually the curfew. As Corona, the COVID virus took hold in this area, they went ahead and businesses were closing down early. They closed non-essential, which, I mean, you should, someone who needs that business to feed their family, I'd say it is essential. But anyway, they closed down non-essential businesses. Fine. But at what point, I really disagreed with the decision to make a useless, humiliating curfew. So I didn't like that. I felt like it was not right to the people. I felt like the commissioners, if you're closing down businesses, they should have been offering to forego some of their own salary at that point. And I didn't hear that conversation. So I disagreed with the curfew. And my favorite decision was when they lifted it. I thought that was a good move. And, a lot of credit goes to Priscilla Trace for, making that vote pass. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, Candidate Satcher. What should the county government be doing to meet the affordable housing needs of residents, and what be specific?
So what I have been in favor of, first of all, is infill developments. So if we have areas, especially if you could find a building like they did with Robbins Apartments in downtown, if you can find a building that's in disrepair, that has great bones, making that a nice place for people to live, I feel like that was just a real accomplishment. And so infill developments in downtown, the great thing about that, or anywhere as close as you can get, the great thing about that is it doesn't add to the traffic. In newer areas, obviously there's got to be some balance there as we make the, smaller densities. That's a tough one because we want workplace housing. We don't want our teachers to have to travel in from Hardy County. But we also have, our communities the way they are. So that's going to be tough, but I think that we can find the way forward. So I'm in favor of infill, and I'm not blanketly opposed to newer buildings for workforce housing.
Thank you. And Candidate Brown, what do you believe the county government should do to meet affordable housing needs of the residents, and be specific?
So I think that when we're looking at approving new developments, we should also look at proposals and see if there is any way to incentivize developers to make attainable housing available within the neighborhoods that they're trying to develop. I've said before, in District 1, the houses here, they don't start less than $250,000. So if you have a teacher, or you have law enforcement, or you have our firefighters trying to attain that American dream of purchasing a home, there's usually barriers in place because they can't afford it on their own. So if we're approving these homes to be built, we want our law enforcement, our teachers, our fire department, firefighters to live among us and be able to live among us and attain that American dream. So there should be some type of incentivization for the developers to be able to build where they want to build, to make sure that those people who are part of our community can also live within our community.
Thank you. Carolyn, is there one more question in chat? We have time for one more question and then closing remarks. Or should I go back to my list? Maybe not.
Carolyn's muted.
There you go.
I didn't think you'd want to hear my dog if she started barking again. Do either of you believe that if we had shut down everything for at least 2 months, like other countries or counties, we would have had a better handle on the pandemic and the death rate wouldn't have been as high? Who are we on, Alice? I wasn't paying attention.
We are on candidate Brown.
Candidate Brown, okay.
I'm not sure. Honestly, everything was shut down in a sense. Like I said, I had to close my doors to my office, and it was voluntary. I limited the places that I went to and made sure my kids stayed at home. But I recently lost a family member to COVID, and she hadn't been anywhere since March, and her funeral was this past Saturday. So on the one hand, shut everything down, keep everyone away from everybody else, and potentially have this virus go away like other countries or counties, or do what the county commissioners did and the numbers somewhat dropped, but now they're rising again. I'm not sure how to answer that question. It's hit home for me, so I know that it's real. And what could be done, or what could have been done at least 2 months at the beginning of this crisis, I'm not sure.
Thank you. Candidate Satcher.
Well, I'll just say, maybe I could be so bold to speak on behalf of the League of Women Voters to say, and everyone listening, our condolences go out to you and to everyone that's been affected by this. I think that if we knew the magic bullet, to get to the question, if we knew the magic bullet, I think we would have used it by now. So I don't know if we could go back in time. I don't know that it's, I don't know if it's beneficial to look at it that way. We have seen there are places that have dodged and have not been as affected by the virus, but I don't pretend to be a virologist, CDC or the WHO. I just believe that, you know, we do have to do what we can do, manage what we can manage, and not the other. So I don't want to look back and say, you know, that we should have done more or less. We're moving on at this point. And I think we need to do that with strength and knowing that we can beat this together.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Candidate Satcher, you have 1.5 minutes for a closing statement.
So thank you so much for listening this evening and being interested in your government. It seems like more and more the decisions that government makes affects each of us. And so I appreciate you playing a part. And I, as a candidate and as a person, I talked about my background in the ministry, but don't think for a moment that I'm claiming that I've always been perfect or always made every single right decision. But I do come across, and not just come across, but I do see myself, and I think you'll see me also as genuine and capable. And so I think that if I were to get the opportunity to be your next county commissioner, I'm going to listen and to what you have to say as a citizen and not think that I have it all figured out on my own. I'm I'm going to see what the concerns of the people are, and then take those to the board and to the staff and to the county. And I think that together we can keep Manatee beautiful. We can keep this a wonderful place to live. We can keep this a wonderful place to raise a family. And so I would appreciate your vote. Early voting starts on the 19th, I believe. And then election day is November 3rd. So I would appreciate your vote. My name's James Satcher. I'm running for county commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Brown.
Thank you all for having me this evening. I really appreciate the opportunity to address members of the community. I'm asking for your vote on or before November 3rd as your next county commissioner for District 1. As you heard in my opening statement, I am the most qualified candidate for this position. I bring to the table diversity that is lacking on our board of county commissioners. I bring life experience and extensive education. I want to focus on the future of Manatee County, and that includes all of you. So if you would visit my website, www.votedbrown.com. On there, you can find out more information that we weren't able to cover this evening. You'll also find my phone number and my email address so that you can reach out to me and express any concerns or ask any questions that you may not have received the answer to this evening. So I'm asking for your support again on or before November 3rd, Dominque Brown for Manatee County Commissioner, District 1.
Thank you, both candidate Brown and candidate Satcher, for being here. And as I said, this will be posted by tomorrow on our website, so people that were not able to make this can see the form and see the candidates. So thank you all.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you.
I want to thank you all both, and I wish you well in your race, both of you.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.